Let's watch the Wizard List, and I'm gonna say what I think about it.
Because I was always isolated, because I wasn't allowed to hang around other people, really. I wasn't allowed to date. So I didn't really know the extent of people. So I just assumed everyone has good in them. And I was really like walking around, la la, like just delusional, you know? And I think this just like, especially meeting my ex and like going through all of that and that betrayal, I realized like,
I think it's a little bit dangerous because if you don't hang out with a lot of people, I think it might be very easy for you to put certain stereotypes on people in general. Because as she said, her father was abusive, so it's very natural for her to find a partner who continues this abuse. And if she doesn't hang out with a lot of people and does not necessarily know a lot of people, I think it's so much harder to understand that these are certain people that you attracted in your life, and there are so many more sorts of people. And I think it would be good for her to hang out with more different people so her nervous system and her body can really understand that these are very specific individuals that she had in her life, like her father, her partner. But there are so many different kinds of humans, and I think it's very hard if you isolate yourself from that. You might simply get a really bad opinion about people in general, and I think she's a little bit harming herself with that, because she should go out and meet all kinds of people and not stay stuck in her opinion about people in general.
wow, like there is actual real danger in this world, and people will portray themselves as someone that they're completely not. And they just don't care that if it hurts you, or they don't feel empathy that it hurts you. So then I was like, damn, I really need to watch out.
And I mean, she has every right to be very cautious about who she allows around her. It's just not good to meet someone and already in the back of your mind have this idea of this person might betray me. She's doing, in my opinion, a little bit of harm to herself, and I would wish her to not have to think like that, because I think it creates exactly this dynamic that when she finds someone and when she lets someone in her life, that she experiences the same wound again, you know? Because as long as this thought or this belief or this experience, of course it's an experience in her life and very real, might harm her, it's very harmful, because she somehow, it would be great for her to get rid of this belief and this belief, because it's not true. It's an experience, but it's not true. Like, it's just not true. Like, we all live on the same earth and still we live in such different realities, and it's just very harmful to believe that you need to be cautious about every person in your life, because that will create exactly the circumstances that you will have to be very cautious about every person in your life, because you attract this kind of people, because you already in the back of your mind you have this belief. And it's very human. I also have it myself. When I'm in a fight with someone, I walk around not only very angry, but also like very distrustful towards people when I feel betrayed in a way. So it's very normal. It's just important to understand your part in it and get out of this pattern, because otherwise you just harm yourself.
Even if I say, like, for example, my ex is evil, I think it's more so he's also acting from a traumatized standpoint and what he knows from his childhood. Because I really believe like you attract people on the same traumas that you have, for example, you know. No matter how much you try to heal them or whatever, like your nervous system will be comfortable with someone that has either been through the same things or is on that same vibration. So if you look at my ex, for example, when he was abandoned really like a child, like what he's doing now is what his parents did with him.
I respect her a lot. Like, I don't know her that well. I only know her because of her breakup story. So I'm not very familiar with her content, but I think this is so tricky. It's so tricky because, of course, like all the stuff she experienced, it's horrible. And like deepest respect to her and how she overcame it in many ways. But to keep up this belief, and it's an experience, so obviously you will have this belief, but if you keep it up and continue having this belief in your life, you will simply harm yourself, and it must not, like, it's simply not true. Like, if you change your belief and if you understand that there are so many types of people out there, and whatever you believe, this is the people you will attract, it would just be so much better for her. And I really wish for her to be able to change that belief, so she won't have to experience anything like that in the future anymore.
Once you change or once you reach a certain level of success, a lot of people reveal who they really are.
I mean, definitely. And I cannot put myself in her shoes because I would not know how it is. Definitely, people will always reveal who they are, always. But I think it's just more complex than that. I think it really is way more complex than that. And I still think it has a lot to do with her belief, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And that for me has been the most heartbreaking process, because I now understand why people say, like, the more successful you get, the more lonelier you get. Like,
but you know what I thought recently? Because I feel like just imagine that you became super successful or super rich with 18, 17. If I would just imagine that, I would only have people in my life who would just tell me yes. And no matter, even if I act shitty or do something wrong, they wouldn't tell me the truth, because I think that happens to a lot of people who are very successful, you know. People start just telling them yes or telling them whatever they want to hear. And I think for me personally, I think it would have hindered me a lot in my personal growth if I would have a situation like that where everyone in my life would just tell me, yeah, Julia, amazing, wow, 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 and nobody would be honest to me. I think that is heartbreaking, to be honest. I think that is really heartbreaking, because especially when you grow up, you learn from that, right? You learn like to handle feedback, you learn like to handle different personalities, you grow, you know, you start to develop your healthy self-esteem with all of that. But if I would know, no matter what I would do or no matter what I would say, people would always encourage me and lie to me just because they want something from me, I think that is heartbreaking. So I do understand her as far as I can understand her. I think it's very tricky. But I mean, there are also enough people in her area, you know, like on her level, who would understand what she's going through and who could be true friends for her.
They say people tell you you've changed when you stop being the way they want you to be.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, but only people who want to have a specific version of you, because the people who really love you, they want to see you happy and they want to see you grow, and they will support everything that is beneficial for that, and disencourage everything that is bringing you further away from yourself. So it's not good to hang out with those people anyways if you need to be limited or if you have a specific version, and only then you will get accepted. It's just not worth it. So I also think it is so much more gray than black and white and all those things. I really do believe, from my personal opinion, I do believe that we're playing a game of life here, and that everyone is like someone, like I might be the villain in someone's story, you know, like we're all the villain and the victims, even though I don't like this word, in our story and our people close to our story and in other stories. So I think I really do believe Earth is a school, and I think that we don't need to necessarily paint anyone as bad, because I don't believe in such a thing as good as bad. I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about extreme cases. Like, we don't need to discuss if murder, or I don't even want to speak it out loud, but all of these things, like, obviously, they're like absolutely horrific. I'm not talking about that, but I don't necessarily believe in the concept of good and bad and good and evil. And I think it's a very big issue in our society that we like the victim state so much and we love to portray someone as evil or bad. But I think reality is way more gray than we might sometimes acknowledge.
I FaceTimed my baby.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very happy.
Okay, I'm happy that you're happy.
Oh, thank you.
It's really sweet. It feels so genuine, their connection, the way they talk to each other. They're like, nobody's above and nobody's below the other. And it just feels like they're having real sympathy for each other and real empathy. So
Yeah. I really, this year, I just learned that people are very evil.
I disagree. I know that people are not all evil, and also not the majority of people is evil. I think it's a very tiny minority who is actually evil. I think that because of how we all grow up differently and experience life differently, and because the way I see life is like we all have a filter. That means if my belief is that everyone is amazing and wonderful and a good person, I mean, depending on what you believe, like it might be that because of my karma or because of something I did, I might still encounter difficult people. But the majority of my life and the majority of the people that I encounter will be a positive encounter. I really believe so. But if my belief is like her belief that most people are evil, I think the percentage, the probability that I also encounter those people and meet these people and have to interact with those people, like, is very high. I really believe that maybe it's not only 100% our responsibility what our filter is programmed, how our filter is programmed, but I think maybe it is 100% our responsibility, and I think it plays a big part. And I think that's why it's so important to somehow get to the roots, to the root of your beliefs, to the deepest level of your subconscious mind, because only there you can change it. And if you don't, you will have to repeat always the same or very similar story. And it's not good. So no, 100% disagree. People are not evil. 99% of the world, in my opinion, are good people who are just trying to live a peaceful life. And maybe 1%, maybe they're not even human, who knows? Maybe 1% is evil. But what does evil actually mean? Evil, in my opinion, just means unaware. Like, you cannot really be evil, because if you have a child and this child is maybe not so aware yet and it beats their sister, they beat their sister, is this child really evil? Or maybe does this child not understand the consequences of their doing? And I think it's very similar with people. I mean, for example, how many people go in the supermarket every day and eat meat? They're not necessarily aware that they are doing a little bit of an evil thing because someone died, like a soul, a being died, and they eat it. So it's not good, obviously, and you kind of encourage the killing of animals if you do that, if you eat meat. So are you aware of what you're doing? Probably not. I'm not saying that people who harm other people are not aware of what they're doing, but I think that those people, maybe they don't see any other way. Maybe they just don't understand the consequences, because I do believe we live in a fair world, and I do believe for whatever you're doing, good or bad, you will have consequences for that. So I think it's a level of awareness and not necessarily a level of evilness, if that makes sense.
Well, sometimes trumps the good. Like
Yeah.
one evil, it's like comments. If you
Yeah.
get 49 good comments and one really bad one,
Yeah.
your brain focuses on the bad. And the sad thing is, let's take a building.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you 2 years to build a building,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It takes you one moment to blow it up.
Yeah.
So
True.
the evil is very strong and quick,
Yeah.
and it can destroy so much.
Yeah.
But I think it's even more complex than that, because I do believe everything is energy. And whenever there is energy directed towards you, good or bad, you can transform this energy, and it really depends on what you do and how you handle it. I really believe so, because I do believe that, look, if we all would have like a perfect world, and if everything would be always amazing from day one, I don't think we would be as resilient and as smart and maybe as growing as we are now with a world that is really tough sometimes. And I'm not saying I want to have like more tough moments to grow more. Hell no. But I think in order to grow and develop a little bit, you just learn more from tough moments and you learn more from complex people than from very simple people, in my opinion. So I think it is necessary, and we signed up for a certain level of difficulty. And I think our job is to somehow learn how to deal with it, but not deal with it in the way of, oh my gosh, just leave me. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna sit it out. No, I think our job is to actively take this energy and transform it into something beautiful. I really believe so. And I think you can do that with everything, with absolutely everything.
They stay together. So there's a sense of loyalty that I know, which isn't even good, because oftentimes people that see their parents argue or stay in abusive situations, they go into relationships and then they think like, okay, so I should also stay because my parents stay together. And that's what they see as like, this is love. You stay together no matter what. And then, for example, what he's doing is like his parents were like dating other people and like throwing the child around, like using it as a prop. And now he's doing the same thing. And he doesn't really know that, like any loyalty really, because he didn't see that with his parents.
Such a good point that she's making. And I think we do not only have loyalty to, I think we do have loyalty to suffering as well. I think when, for example, when you grow up without a father, from my experience, a lot of women who grow up without a father tend to become single moms themselves, because I think we're not aware, but we have this loyalty towards our parents, like, you went through that and I love you so much, I'm gonna go through the same thing too. It's tricky and it's hard to understand, but I think we do have that, because there are so many families where the same topic comes up from generations to generations to generations. And I do not think it's a curse. I think it's a type of loyalty from the child to the mom to show them, I love you so much. I want to repeat, even though they don't want to, but they repeat what their parents went through. And maybe to try to solve it, maybe to share the pain. But I see that. And I think it's very, very true. And I think that's why it's so important that we wake up as early as possible in our lives and not have to go through all the same things again and again and again and again over generations, you know. So yeah, you gotta pay attention to that.
Evil, or are they acting from their childhood?
I think they're mostly acting out of their subconscious mind, which makes them neither evil nor good. It just makes them a reactive being that does not have the awareness to choose their own behavior in a way. And they might harm others, but as we know, you cannot harm someone else without harming yourself. So they're also harming themselves with their behavior and everyone around them.
What he's doing is bad, but I always look at, why are you doing that? You know, it doesn't mean that I have to accept it. It doesn't mean I have to justify your actions.
Correct.
But I always try to understand, like, where is this coming from? You know?
If you
Beautiful. For me as well. I think it was always so important for me to understand what is going on, because I'm an intellectual person sometimes, and I want to understand why the things are happening the way they are. And once I can understand it, it's so much easier to let go, because then you don't have all these questions. So I really like what she said. She wants to understand. She doesn't have to accept it, and she shouldn't, but she wants to understand. So I can really relate to her in that way.
you attract what your nervous system is used to.
Yeah.
Chaos, chaos.
Yeah.
Abandonment, abandonment. You know?
Yeah.
Unless you catch it and maybe work on it. I don't know.
Nobody of us knows. Nobody of us knows really. All we can do is guess. That's why I like Buddhism so much, because sometimes when you ask a monk, so why is that way? Why? Sometimes they just look at you, laugh, and say like, I don't know. And it's true, because nobody of us really knows. I mean, sometimes we know, but you know.
So I feel like I was her parent, taking care of her and protecting her.
I think unfortunately it's a very common thing that people have a baby and the baby is kind of the parent to the parents. It's, I think, very common. And it's not only children who take on the role of the protector, it's also animals, and it's just so wrong in all cases, because they should be the one who are protected and they shouldn't have to be the one who need to do the protecting. And it's just a mess for everyone.
Didn't want to put like more pressure on her. So also my sister started working, like the women in the family were all working. And we were providing for ourselves. And then we were like, my dad would make us pay for groceries and everything. Like he was doing nothing. So
Isn't it also interesting, like, what do you think made her father the way he was? Like, I can tell you, it was for sure not a good life, because if you act like that, you must live in hell. Like, literally, you cannot, like, be abusive and not live in hell.
Hope you pardon me on that, because I'm sure people watching this, some of them are facing abuse, or they've seen
Yeah.
it, at least seen it. And I do think parents are creating monsters.
they are.
You know, when you see genocide in the world, when you
Yeah.
see rape, when you see people with crazy, just killing people around the world, you're like, who kills children? Like,
Yeah.
for example, you
Yeah.
know? But you have to rewind, and you would probably find out they created a monster somewhere in the
Yeah,
childhood.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Parents are creating monsters. Definitely, yes. It's sad, but it's true. There are really crazy parents out there. And I think it's also, it's true, and I think it's also heartbreaking, because even if the kid changes and chooses another way, but I think it's very heartbreaking if, sometimes when people get older, they become more stubborn. They stick to their toxic ways, and it's crazy, because I think a lot of people who could have had an amazing life, would they just wake up and become aware of themselves and their patterns and leave the victim state, they could improve their life and change their life completely. But it takes so much guts and bravery to do that, and you need to take a look in the mirror, and it's just not for everyone. And you gotta accept that, even though it's hard, even though it might be someone really close to you, but you cannot change anyone. You cannot change nobody. So if someone is not ready for change and doesn't choose happiness, you cannot do anything. You can only change yourself and improve yourself and take responsibility for your own stuff. But it's heartbreaking. But sometimes, if someone is not ready, they're not ready. And I think there's nothing that cannot be healed or changed or improved. Absolutely nothing. But you gotta want it. If you don't want it, you cannot do nothing. But yeah, and I think that's why it would be so important for parents, especially parents, to deal with their shit. Because everything they don't deal with, they implant in the poor innocent brain of their baby boy or baby girl. And it shouldn't be like that. You should let your child be its own person and not imprinted with your traumas and beliefs and limitations.
Is this so normalized in our society? Because now we have people that become seriously mentally ill, or like you said, like they do the same thing to other people. And then if we look back, we can always trace it back to something that had happened in childhood, because I don't believe a child is born evil, I do believe that some mental illnesses you have when
You
you're born,
inherit, maybe,
probably,
yeah.
But a lot of it is also nurture and how you raise the child
a
and all
combo.
these things, yeah.
I believe so too. I don't know why, but it is very normalized. All these things, abuse, violence, it's very normalized. Maybe we're really living in a very patriarchal system, but I can agree with her, it's very normalized for some reason, and it's kind of sick when you think about it. And what they said about making the victim the blaming the victim.
And especially like for the victims of this abuse, for these children, the shame is not with you. The shame is with your abuser. But oftentimes, even me, myself, I told my friend, I was like, I feel really ashamed when I speak about these things because I'm almost too vulnerable. And I feel like people can attack me there.
But I think it's just so much like leading by example. Because, for example, if you have a toxic mother who like all the time plays mind games and controlling games with you, you will be very likely to repeat this behavior in your relationship. So I think it's just whatever you feel is normal, If you grew up in a surrounding that is like really toxic and like you cannot even trust what the fuck is real and what is not, it's just normal. And it's not only normal in your mind, your whole body is used to it, your nervous system and everything. And it's really hard to unlearn that and unwind that and understand that is not normal. That is just your normal. But you can change your normal. And it would actually be great for you to change your normal because as long as this is your normal, you will always create the circumstances. I think we're all addicted to something. She talks later about it. What I find really interesting is like when you take one addiction and you put it into something else. But I think a lot of people, a lot of people, they are addicted to the drama. They're addicted to the suffering, the repeating cycle, like suffering, then getting together, suffering, then like everything is fine again, suffering. And I think it's like literally a physical process in our body because despite all the suffering, it creates certain chemicals and you can become addicted to that. So it's a real physical addiction and it's a physical issue. So it's crazy, but it's a thing. And I think it's very, very common, to be honest. But what's gone is gone. And I mean, I would have hoped that you learn from it and that you improve and that you take responsibility for it, but it cannot hurt you anymore. It's not there anymore and you shouldn't make it your life story. What's gone is gone. Simply as that. And who you are now, that's who you are now. That's it.
Even my brothers, everyone was very, very happy. Yeah.
How sad is it, huh? That you're happy that a father disappears rather than the opposite.
Yeah.
And usually a father disappears or a mother disappears. You're like, I miss them. I hope they're back.
Yeah, no,
we
had like the best. That was the best thing for us. It was very traumatizing as well because like, imagine you never really had freedom. And suddenly you get freedom.
Like a culture shock.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, wow, what do I do now? My first thought was, okay, I can finally have a social media. Now I need to make money because I wasn't allowed to have social media before. So then I immediately started social media and all these things. Thank God, like everything went very well for me.
That's how you started The Wizard, Liz?
Yes.
Why did you start it?
I started it because I wanted to make money. Like, honestly, that was the reason because my mom, like, I needed to pay off her house. I needed to help her with money. So I knew that you can make a lot of money with social media. That's why I started. But I always also wanted to help people. That has always been my goal. Like, I want to help people. I want to, like, make them believe in themselves more, to motivate them, all these things.
I love her. She's a really smart woman. So she basically directed her energy that she lost with all the eating disorder into social media. Very smart woman. I think she's very aware of herself. But it's true, because everything, wherever you put energy, this is what will grow. And it's your choice if you use your energy worrying or like for something that is harming yourself, smoking, taking drugs, drinking, or for something that is benefiting you in the long run. Very smart.
Like, how about I'm gonna stop being a victim? Like, that's really like what I had in my head, like snap out of it. Because I feel like just like people are very comfortable, in a victim mindset.
Yes, they are. And I think there is so much wrong with that because it is still energy. It is still energy. And I think maybe we should stop when something bad happens to someone. Maybe we should stop feeling sorry for them and just congratulating them for hopefully all the strength that they gained and how they changed and how they learned. I think that would be the way better aspect because it's just so stupid. Look, whatever happened, happened. there are many things that can happen to a human being. But what matters is what they did afterwards. How they changed, like how they grew as a person, how maybe much more empathic they became. And I think that's what we should focus on, and not the I'm so sorry this happened to you, because nobody's helped with it. And if people fall in the trap of being a victim, it can be a very, very hard way for them to get out of that again and to stop creating this for themselves. You know what I mean? So victim mindset is very, very victim mindset is very, very tricky.
Everyone feels sorry for me, and even some people will create situations where they are the victim because then everyone can feel sorry for them. And
Yes, 100%. And that's not good for you in the long run. It's just not good for you. We should congratulate people for becoming independent. We should congratulate people for making it out of their own misery, for making it out of their own patterns. And we should focus on the congratulation and on the positive things, and not on the way how they became who they are.
And some people will create situations where they are the victim because then everyone can feel sorry for them. And that's how they receive love, or that's how they receive like, oh, everything will be fine, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, does that really accomplish anything? No.
It does not accomplish anything. Bravo. Exactly. Yes, exactly. And I think our society is a little bit weird, in my opinion, because at the first place, we have like this patriarchy, whatever. So patriarchy is harming men as well. Obviously, of course, it's harming both men and women. Okay. So first we harm each other. Okay. Then we abuse each other in many cases. Okay. Then we blame each other for the abuse. Even the victims, we blame them for abuse. Okay. Then we put them in the victim mode and actually not help them come out of it, or like encourage them to be a victim. Okay. And who is helped with that? Nobody. It's just like, you know, a lot of things is simply backwards. It's just stupid. Very stupid. No. Simply no. I'm not saying it's very easy. I think also for me, sometimes I feel like I have a blockage, you know? And I know that it's maybe not even from me. Maybe it's from my family or from my society or whatever. So it's not hard. It's not easy at all. But you gotta keep moving either way. So just keep moving, because staying stuck isn't easier either. And yeah, it's comfortable, but I think it's like that. If you have issue breaking free, you gotta do it like the domino stones, you know? You kick up one and then everyone falls. And it's the same with freeing yourself from certain situations. It might be really scary at first, but once you did it once, it's easier to repeat. And don't stay stuck. Just never.
More and more excuses as to why your life is bad and why you can't accomplish anything. And you won't accomplish anything. But for a lot of people, that is comfortable and that is what they want. But for me, no. Because I knew that the more I am a victim, the more I'm giving my power away.
Bravo. The more she's a victim, the more she's giving your power away. Exactly. That's the case. And it's not only, you know, you have a certain limit of energy per day, per life, per year, whatever. And you gotta choose where do you want to put that. Because everything will try to take your energy, you know. Do you use it for social media? Do you use it for reliving your past that was maybe not perfect? Do you use it for, I don't know, longing for something or someone? Or do you use it for making whatever you have right now in front of you the best thing ever? You gotta use your energy wisely, and you gotta make sure where do you invest your energy. And it's so important to understand that. And there's this book from a Russian author. His name is Vadim Seeland. I really like his book. It's called Reality Transurfing. It basically describes how it works. For example, let's take Donald Trump. Okay, he's a politician. People love him, people hate him. Okay, so whenever someone speaks about Donald Trump and I either create love or hatred towards him, I start feeding my energy to his pendulum. You know what's a pendulum, right? Tuck, tuck, tuck. Exactly. And it's like an energy network, and it starts to become alive because people put so much energy into it, you know? But even the pendulum, it doesn't care about him as a person. It just cares about being alive. So what does it need? Energy. Like bad, good, doesn't matter. Energy is energy. And we have a lot of those pendulums, and you can feel it sometimes. You can feel it sometimes when, for example, something is triggering you and you don't even know why, but it's starting to suck your energy, you know, because you're not aware. It's starting to suck your energy. So it's always important to be aware. It's always important. When I open the newspaper and I see, no matter what it says, I should be aware that this, if it triggers me, it starts taking my energy. It starts taking my energy. And energy is maybe one of the most, it's just one of the most important things you have. So you gotta be aware of where are you putting your energy to? What pendulum are you helping to grow? And is it beneficial for you or not? And if it's not beneficial for you, start to become a Buddhist. Start to practice non-reaction. Just don't react. Because if you stand in the middle of a pendulum, it cannot bring you left or right. It just continues without you, and you can stand your ground and nobody is gonna take your energy. It's a very, very, very real thing. And it is very crazy. And also for us, for example, if you call your friend and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate it, I had the worst day ever, or whatever, or like the opposite, oh my gosh, I love everything, I had the best day ever. Either way, you kind of, if they engage with whatever you're saying, you kind of bringing that in that level of energy, you know what I mean? So it's always also important to be aware that whatever I choose to do or whatever I choose to focus on, I also have an impact on other people. So it's also important and good to know that and be aware of that, because obviously you want to bring good things to other people. So just be careful of that as well.
Because I knew that the more I am a victim, the more I'm giving my power away.
So,
If I, for example, say like, oh, I can't do this because my father abused me, then that means that my father had all the power, and he doesn't. I have all the power. Until this day, I have all the power. No matter what happens to me, I know that I have all the power. I can change the situation whenever I want, and I will change the situation whenever I want.
Beautiful and 100% true. And I think that is also our job in this life, to learn that we are controlling the situation and not the other way around. And it takes work, but you can leave every pattern that is not good for you or others.
And that's also like what most people do. Most of these couples, they forgive each other. They like just portray a nice image. And I get it. Because if you're truly honest on social media, they're gonna try to kill you. Like, they don't want that. Like, people say they want authenticity, they want that, but they don't. They want you to fit into the image that they have created for you. And you have to perform like that, like almost like a monkey, you know, like you do this.
So interesting what she's saying. It's really, really interesting what she's saying, you know? So that basically her audience, they didn't want her to share her real experience. They just wanted her to be whatever image they had of her. Wow, that is deep, guys. I really like that. And I think it's very true. But wouldn't that also fit into the pendulum description very perfectly? They like the pendulum of Wizard Liz. Again, I don't really know her that much, so I cannot speak a lot about her. I just react to whatever she's saying now. But obviously, if she had such a big audience, the audience got something from her, you know? And I think it's also, for example, if she was giving advice for women, I think it's very similar to that child and parent relationship that we have. When we're children, we think our parents are perfect, you know, and we see them as superhuman or like just perfect. And then comes the moment where we realize they're human. And I think maybe that's the reason why her audience didn't want her to be real. They didn't want her to have a complicated relationship. They didn't want her to not have this perfect life, you know? And I think that's a very human reaction, because I guess she gave a lot of people hope. And if those people see that actually even the role model, the Wizard Liz, had like those very human and very deep issues in her life, it maybe breaks the illusion for them, you know, in a way, and it maybe takes away their hope in a little way, in small pieces. And of course also a lot of people will feel satisfied because they may be jealous of her and they didn't like her success, and now they feel like, ah, she's just like me, she does not necessarily have it better. So that also plays into it for sure. But I think also the hope part, because it's a big disappointment, you know, for people when they see, despite maybe all the wisdom she has, she still had like very deep, very real issues and problems, and maybe still has. So I think it's also that, like, I don't think it's necessarily that I don't want her to be authentic and honest. I just think what she represented and then she didn't anymore, I think that was maybe hard for people to live with.
A lot of people are very stupid, I have to say. I think society in general, a lot of people are very stupid. That is what I find very annoying. But also because they're stupid because, I mean, not stupid
it's by
as in,
design.
yeah,
It's
but
also
also
by
it's
design.
because, like, I think a lack of education, lack of traveling and meeting new cultures.
Definitely it's by design, obviously, of course it's by design, like, and it's so sad because we are actually responsible to be good role models to the next generation. We do have a responsibility for each other, and we should not let the design get away with it. We should be real role models. And it's actually embarrassing how little role models do we have in society. It's really embarrassing for us as a species. Like, why don't we have better role models? If I would ask myself now, okay, who do you see as a real role model? I mean, maybe they're not just very present in the media, you know, maybe that's the point. But it's really hard to tell, to be honest, who's a real role model. And that is very sad.
Make you whatever. And also it's like they have a bubble and they don't leave the bubble.
Yeah, and they don't want you to leave them.
Yeah. So it's like if you only surround yourself with a certain type of people, you're gonna think this is how life is.
Very true. And that's why it's so important to leave your hometown and go out in a big world and explore and realize for yourself how your world is. Yeah, it's very true. And that's what's so cool about life as well, because I do believe that heaven and hell is here and here. And we all put each other wherever we believe we should be, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, I mean, we're on the same planet. I mean, I guess, I'm not sure, but I guess. But still, we have this filter on, and we have such different realities, all of us. You can never have the same life as someone else, you know? Like, you see things differently, you experience different stuff, you meet different people. And I really believe, depending on maybe your karma, your belief for sure, that's what your filter will attract, you know? And I think it's a very good mirror and a very good exercise to look around you in your life and be like, okay, if I met a very interesting person or I saw some very interesting person, okay, that's a good sign. I'm in a good way. If I see people that make you look like that, maybe you should change something, you know? Maybe you had a little bit of unawareness going on, or maybe you had like not the best thought, or maybe you spoke really badly to yourself. I think it's a really good indicator where we're heading. I swear to God, I really believe that. And obviously also your level of happiness will predict your future. If you're really happy now, you can look forward to happy next month or next day or next week, whatever. So it's a really good indicator for us to see, okay, am I standing right now? What kind of thoughts am I producing? What kind of beliefs am I working with?
Like, when people ask me, oh, where are you from? All these things, I never really want to even speak about it because I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm a person of the world, you know?
I think you belong nowhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's so beautiful. But especially after having my own child, no. The fact that you would hurt a child, that you would beat a child, that you would beat disabled people, you're insane.
In my opinion, I do believe that there is a systematical evilness in the world that is not human. I really believe that because there are certain lines I think a human being wouldn't cross. I really believe that. We all have a block, within us that tells us no. And I believe that there are certain lines that human beings don't cross. I really believe that. I think she has a lot of life in her eyes. I like that. I like people with a lot of life in their eyes.
I don't think you hate, I think you're disappointed.
I am disappointed.
Yeah.
But it's just like, because everyone thinks like, oh, if you're standing up for women, that means you like all women. But that's also not true, because a lot of women are the reason for a lot of women's misery. A lot of women get bullied by other women, or they lose their life because of another woman. And they need to be held accountable the same way you hold accountable a toxic man.
This hatred between women is a real thing. Oh my gosh. I don't know where exactly in history did it came from. But sometimes, I mean, me personally, I just always grew up thinking that men are the smarter, better gender. I don't know. I just thought they're more capable, always. But, and I always saw women as more weak, to be honest. But now I feel very different, and I'm very grateful also for Bali for that and stuff. When I discovered, women who do business, and like it just healed so much in me, and also like women's circles and all the stuff. When I understood what femininity really is and how important it is, and that sometimes it's so much more important than any man. Mostly, like I think it's so important for women to have other women and to have like this, it sounds so stupid, but like it's really true, like sisterhood, because like it's so important to have a circle of really cool women who like help you, and because like no man can ever understand a woman like a woman, it's simply like that. And for men too, of course, but like I'm just speaking about my gender. And that's why when now I meet a girl and she's like, yeah, women are like so bad, or like speaking bad about women, I'm like, I will keep my distance, because I know exactly what kind of toxic thoughts she has in her mind, and it's just so wrong. Like, how can you go out there and make your own gender, like speak against your own gender? There's something wrong with you, it's like self-hatred. It's obviously self-hatred. And I also think that the rivalry between women, I don't know who put it in our head, but it's so wrong, and it's just such a bad and hurtful illusion, such a hurtful illusion. And any woman who keeps continuing with this narrative and playing this pick-me girl concept where she has to put down other women, I don't want you in my life. I really don't want you in my life, because there's a lot of self-hatred going on in you, and I'm not going to be part of that. Like, honestly, there's nothing better than when you have like strong and inspirational women in your life. It's so important, really so important. Also because of all the phases women go through, like motherhood and like singlehood and relationshiphood. You will always need support. So we should be there for each other always.
What's the best memory of your life so far?
The best memory was when I gave birth to my child.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was shocked. Like, I couldn't believe it. Because you know how they say, like, when you are a father, you realize, like, oh my God, there's a child. Like, you're shocked.
Yes.
But I had that. I was like, what? Like, how did this just come out of my stomach? Like, what was this? I was shocked. It was like an alien.
That is so beautiful to hear. So beautiful. Because for some reason, I feel like there was a lot of anti-children propaganda or anti-motherhood propaganda in the West. And it's just so... And it's so crazy to think about it, because we were literally built for it. Like, our bodies are literally built for it. Our hormones, all of it. And, like, we're creating lives. Like, how much closer to God do you want to get? And it's just crazy to demonize something like that, And it's so beautiful when women start to share more openly how impactful it was and how it changed them as a person, and how godly simply the whole thing of giving birth to a child can be. It's like so healing. So I love her for that.
Something people misunderstand about manifestation.
Well, they think it's like woo-woo magic, like all these things, but it's not. It's like very simple. Like I feel like manifestation is manipulation of energy. So wherever you direct your energy is what will come into your life. We could even say like, I was so scared of betrayal my whole life.
That you attracted it.
I might have attracted it, you
Or
know?
you attracted somebody who does it.
Yeah.
I really think it's very strong of her to say she might have attracted the betrayal in her life, because I think that's exactly how it works. And also the directing of energy, yes, 100% too. And I think it's so tricky because when we have a certain way, when we have a certain pattern, how we live, how we work, how we do things, it's really hard to break it because that's where your body is the most comfortable, right? So in the first step, it will be so hard to break the first pattern. But once you have a new normal, this will be your new normal, and it will be really easy for you to continue with that new normal. So yeah, but I really like that she's like, wow, like mature enough to see that as a possibility, how it happened, because I think that's exactly how it happened.
Because how powerful do you become if you face your fears? So if my biggest fear was getting betrayed, and now I had to face them, I became more powerful now. Like I care even less. Like I feel more confident after that happened, you know? So I feel like with manifestation, they think like it's writing 1,000 times someone's name and this and that. No, like that's crazy. I mean, you can also do that. Maybe that also works, you know? I don't know. But I feel like it's more how you position your mind, what you think about on a daily basis, what you engage with, who you allow around you. Because a lot of people allow all these people that don't have good intentions with them, or like they belittle them, they make them feel smaller. Well, that's who you are going to be.
Sorry.
Because that's what they're pouring into you and you're accepting it.
It now feels more powerful. But what I think is a little bit tricky is when she said she drives on survival. Because I think if you really believe that about yourself, you might tend to create more situations in your life where you have to survive just to feel this rush of power and adrenaline, and to feel like to get that energy for yourself, if that makes sense. So if she really believes I drive on survival, I think she might attract a lot of situations in her life where she has to survive just to feel like this immense energy of power again. And like, you know what I mean? I think it can be an issue that she might attract that because she really believes she's powerful and she drives on survival. It would be so much better for her to think like, I'm a strong person. I'm just a strong person. Like, I just drive no matter what. That would be a way better way for her to put that in her subconscious mind than the I thrive on survival, because that will just create more situations of survival for her. But mostly it's about your self-belief, because at least for me, if there's a certain thing that is like clear to you, for example, I make easily money. Like most people have the opposite belief, obviously.
Meanwhile, you can say, you know, this is not what I deserve. I deserve better.
But if that's so deep connected with your identity, that's what you're gonna get, you know? I really think it works like that. So it's so hard to change that step of identity, but once you did, then there's no limit. Like nothing is impossible. Definitely, absolutely nothing. It's just so deep in your subconscious mind, which makes it so tricky.
So you have to set an example that this is not how you treat women, and a woman will leave if you do this. Yeah. I think like when you constantly have to be strong and you constantly have to go through things and then it gets better and then another thing, it's exhausting.
Definitely, of course it's exhausting. But I think maybe she now will learn somehow to make peace her new normal and start attracting that more in her life. But definitely, of course. But I think she has the power to do exactly that.
Do you think you're addicted to the chaos and the drama?
No, but I do think that I thrive in it. I think I thrive best in survival mode because that's all I've known. So once a situation repeats where again I have to survive, I'm the best at it.
That's why I said I thank him for that.
Yeah, because it awakened me again. And
But then does that mean if I bring Liz and she finds love and she settles down, or without love, you just settle down and you're calm and there's no drama, no intensity, would you need that again to revive you?
I don't think so. I think like if I just want a fun relationship. I just want to have fun. I want to laugh and stuff, you know, like that's also good for me. I don't need to have drama, all these things.
But she shouldn't be the best at surviving. I mean, and that's exactly the tricky point that I think all of us deal with on a daily basis. The normal, our normal. And it's really difficult to create a new normal because we're so deeply involved within all our patterns and in our beliefs. And I think that is simply maybe the biggest challenge in life, to unwrap that and plant something new in our subconscious mind and see this new thing that you planted come to fruition and enjoy the fruits of your work, you know. But that's such a, I don't know, I think that's not a good belief to have. Like, she should not thank her partner for treating her badly because it awakens something in her. No, that is the wrong perspective. I really believe that is the wrong perspective, because she doesn't need trauma to awaken something within her. No, everything is already here. She could also awaken that while spending time with her son, you know, and I think she should change, and I think it would be so good to change that perception, because as long as she believes she will awaken or develop new abilities with drama, she will create that trauma. So no, 100% not true. I don't believe that. No, she has it within her, and whatever is within her or within you or within me, there are so many ways to get to it, and it doesn't need trauma. No, absolutely not.
Let go a bit, because some people will protect you and they will defend you and they'll fight for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you.
Yeah. It's okay to be tired.
Yeah.
You're still strong tired.
I really like what he said to her in the end. Yes, definitely. And I think sometimes we put ourselves into fighting mode and survival mode, even though there is no need for that. So I really admire the people who, despite all circumstances, they don't give a they don't care, you know. I really admire those people. You know, I don't know if it's madness or trust sometimes, and I wish I would be like them sometimes more, when they're just so cool and they just know that whatever will be fine. I think that is a really good quality. All of us can do more, learn more, be more, have more. Yeah, because, you know, the same how fear works, like it's just an illusion in your mind. Sometimes we put ourselves into these crazy scenarios and we think, oh my gosh, I don't know, something fucked up, or my nail artist fucked up and now my life is gonna end. Sometimes it is just like, it feels like that, but we shouldn't always trust our monkey mind so much, you know, and just accept whatever is. Everything that is, just accept it and do not attach. Buddha would not approve of that. So just, yeah, I think we can, also me personally, learn to chill a little bit more.